If you could somehow harness the power and energy of a volcanic eruption along with an F5 tornado and morph it into one person, you would have Goldberg, Goldberg, Goldberg. I'm John Renton with my review, Biography, WWE Legends on Goldberg, the man himself, the man with 173-0 streak. And man, the World Heavyweight Champion, the former U.S. Champion, the former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Hall of Famer. And oh boy, do I have some thoughts about some things that he said in this biography, including one particular moment where I'm never going to fucking forgive Goldberg for what he did to Bret Hart. Yeah, I'd love to know what you guys have to say here because this is going to get a little bit dicey a little bit later. He truly was an icon for his time and is still fondly remembered. He does a lot of great shit for charities, helps out kids, is a great a great inspiration for children, takes his time out to talk to kids and everything, does great stuff for animal charities. That's cool. Also a fucking klutz that just injured a whole lot of people because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He could be his character, and unfortunately that's all he could be because he couldn't fucking wrestle, still can't, never could only wrestle when he was carried by the right goddamn person, but for a time it fucking worked. Heyman does an opening narration, Hogan chimes in, Bischoff chimes in, and Bischoff even says his legacy will be defined by overcoming his biggest obstacle, himself, which is true. And Goldberg talks about being born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a Jewish kid, born to Jewish parents, be a bit weird otherwise. Stopping bullying by basically beating the shit out of one, like the main character staying up to the bully in A Christmas Story. Christmas Story was severely overrated. Fight me on that. Football days, University of Georgia. I will say that nothing really groundbreaking happened in this particular biography. Like the one on the WWE Untold on the Streak actually did more to flesh shit out than this did. But yeah, his University of Georgia run. He was having injuries. His time with the Rams didn't work. His time in the CFL, in the World Football League that I totally forgot about. Atlanta Falcons. He kept trying to come back, but he tore his abdominal muscle. He had just had surgery, but he was drafted by the new Carolina Panthers. Panthers and Jaguars were part of the expansion. That didn't work out. He asked for his release. And his accountant said, figure something out. He skips over how Sting and Luger and a couple others tried to get, I think DDP even tried to get him into wrestling. Gets in the power plant. Bischoff does mention, well, we don't actually hit people here. It's more of a dance and we make it look like we're hitting people. Like Shawn Michaels' dad said, it's more like just an athletic soap opera. He's not wrong. As much as I love wrestling, he's not wrong. There are legit tough people in wrestling, but it's what pro wrestling is. It's a work. It's not fake. It's a work. So anyway, by the way, fuck David Shoemaker. He made up a whole bunch of shit during that Andre the Giant biography and a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, I'm sure that he means well as long as it serves his purpose, but he's a fucking moron and just, god damn it. Just, he drips with disingenuousness, if that's even a fucking word. So goddamn frazzled by him existing, by a couple other things I'm going to rant about here. Power plant footage, we have Sarge yelling with the little Napoleon Bonaparte complex that he had, a little shit or whatever, when he has to basically stand up on a box to be tall enough to ride a goddamn roller coaster. And basically what ends up happening is he's only in the power plant for 2.5 months, maybe 3. He debuts on a live Nitro against Bill DeMott, a.k.a. Hugh Morris, the guy that loved to abuse trainees. If you know, just ask Miro. He wasn't fond of him. And that was the same night where Cactus Jack made his debut in Madison Square Garden, and Kevin Dunn said, nobody's going to know who Cactus Jack is. Fucking stupid Bucky Beavertooth motherfucker. If his dad hadn't pulled out, his mother should have ignored what Mommy Dearest said and do the opposite, and he wouldn't be here. Fuck Kevin Dunn. Hope he's fucking goddamn released from the goddamn company because he's terrible at his job and terrible for wrestling. But it's also the same night where Austin said to Vince, hell, you can kiss my ass, and kicked him in the groin and then stunned him. So that's the same night, and on the opposite network, Goldberg debuts. He actually had a couple house show matches where he lost. So technically his streak never happened, but on TV, let's just ignore that because wrestling revises history all the time. Don't worry, a bunch of that shit happens here. Beats Bill DeMott, even kicks out of his finisher. No laughing matter, the moonsault. Big deal. 16-year-old me was, wow, okay, who the hell's this guy? And then he rises and rises. They skip over a lot of stuff like his feud with Mongo that wasn't very good. I feel bad for Mongo because he's going through severe health issues. That feud wasn't all that good, though. He wins the U.S. Championship from Raven on the Nitro the night after Spring Stampede 98. And then Hogan calls up Bischoff while Bischoff is driving, I believe, in L.A. and says, hey, we got to do something with Goldberg. Like, he's going to beat me on Nitro. And Bischoff said, oh, he's almost crashed his car. So they make the announcement on Thunder 4 days prior. And they're going to be in the Georgia Dome. They're in the Georgia Dome, 40,000 some odd people for a TV taping. That's a big fucking deal. No other wrestling company with 4 days notice is going to be able to do that. I don't care how many stars you bring out. You have a couple months to hype it. Sure, you could do something like that, but not on 4 days notice. Now, sure, they may have already had tickets on sale anyway, but once they announced that, a groundswell of support happened, and it was a big fucking deal. And Goldberg beats Hogan. Big pop. Tremendous, energy. Karl Malone and DDP interfering to stop the NWO from interfering. Spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. It was the longest match I think that Goldberg had up to that point. And Hogan, of course, wasn't going to work too long of a match, but nevertheless, it was a big deal, and Goldberg won, and Heyman said what works, works, and what doesn't work, doesn't work. And people love that. It worked. In hindsight, they had taken Road Wild, and they had taken out Sturgis, because, my God, the Sturgis setting was fucking terrible. Just ask Harlem Heat how they felt about it. Taking it and put it in the Georgia Dome. And you hyped that match up. Hogan versus Goldberg. You could have done that. You could have done closed circuit or pay-per-view, beaming to high school gyms and other stuff. And people in surrounding venues around Atlanta. And whatever, smaller arenas, high school gyms, whatever, that had that capacity. You could have set that up and you could have done better than Crockett did with Starrcade. I know different time period, but you could have done big money. Now they gave it away. Big ratings victory, first one they had in about 11 weeks. And Goldberg would help them win some more ratings victories, but it was short fucking sighted. That was a lot of the Monday Night Wars. Really short fucking sighted by WWE and by WCW. Goldberg exploded in popularity. He was on TV Guide. He was on Jay Leno, Future, Road Wild 98 main eventer. Jay Leno got the pin on Eric Bischoff in the main event of a pay-per-view. I'm glad WCW fucking died because of shit like that. And I feel bad saying that because I love WCW. He was an inspiration to kids. They show how, kids were happy to meet him. Meant a lot how he looked up to football players like they looked up to him. And he kept talking about his love of football, and how he saw wrestling as a business. And I don't fault him for that. I don't fault him one fucking bit. Plenty of other wrestlers saw, plenty of people that got into wrestling rather saw wrestling as a business. Like the Ultimate Warrior. And like a few others. And I don't blame him for that if you learn to love it. Sting at least got better at it. And some people didn't. Now Goldberg was a phenomenon. Phenomenon. And then his time as world champion started to get stagnant. Why? Because he couldn't just go out there and squash fools in 2 minutes. He had to have matches that were competitive and face people for 10 to 15 minutes at least. And he couldn't fucking do that. Hogan, by the way, just got the title off of himself and said, okay, I'm going to let Goldberg twist and win for a few months. I'm going to go over here with Rodman and team up against DDP and Malone, and we're going to set, pay-per-view main event record while Goldberg's here in the mid-card as world champion. The only time that Goldberg was in the main event as world champion on a pay-per-view was Halloween Havoc 98. Halloween Havoc 98. And you had Bash at the Beach, Road Wild, Fall Brawl. You had a few others. I think you had, you had Fall Brawl, you had Halloween Havoc, you had World War III, Starrcade. And Starrcade was actually the only other time, but that's the only other time during his reign before he lost it. Your world champion should be on top. And that was fucking ridiculous. Now, fans were getting tired of it. They mixed 98, 99, and 2000 footage because they don't know what the fuck they're goddamn doing because A&E people don't have a goddamn idea. And WWE is like, just do all that shit. He couldn't work a long match, and they talked about the end of the streak at Starrcade 98, where he wanted to have an actual taser that's supposed to take 2,000-pound cows down. which would have killed him. Goldberg's not very smart, but they did that. Nevertheless, they killed the Golden Goose, and then they did the finger poke of doom a week later, or a week or so later, which fucking killed the company. They still had ratings, but the last time they won a ratings victory was the night after Halloween Havoc 98, when various matches, but especially Hogan and Warrior went, and went way over time. By the way, I want to say once again, fuck the Ultimate Warrior. I'm glad he's dead. Fuck Dana Warrior for existing. I hope the kids grow up to be better than Warrior or, Ultimate Warrior Jim Hellwig, and he's burning in Hellwig. Let me tell you right now, and I'm glad he's burning in hell. Mr. Queering doesn't make the world work. Just slap him down. Little bitch couldn't do anything, and he broke Bobby Heenan's neck, and I'm going to continue to say that Ultimate Warrior is a piece of shit, and his wife's a piece of shit, and a conservative twat, and a twit, and deserves to be screamed at until she crawls back in a hole, because women deserve to be respected. Twats like her don't. Now that I'm off my soapbox, let's talk about Goldberg losing the title, finger poke of doom, like I said. Then we see him shooting guns. Pretend to be shocked. Somebody like Goldberg would be doing that. If you're shooting stuff carefully, that's fine. If you're a two-way, get the fuck off my goddamn timeline. Get the fuck off my goddamn channel. I'll say my opinions, and I'll listen to other people's opinions, but anybody that wants to get to that point and align themselves with the views of other people that are just cowards, well, you can piss off. Then they skip over an entire year, skip over him getting his revenge on Nash, and we go to late 99 when Bret had beaten Goldberg for the championship at the Mayhem 99 tournament that was so goddamn convoluted and ridiculous and everything. But it was Russo booking, so of course it was convoluted and ridiculous. Vince Russo's parents should be brought up on crimes against wrestling and against the world for putting him on this planet. Bret lays into Goldberg. I basically said, Bill, all you have to do, don't hurt me. All you had to do was not hurt him, you goddamn bald klutz. And guess what he fucking did? He fucking hurt him. Because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He never knew what the fuck he was doing. And yeah, I'm going to side with Bret. And you can say Bret's whining. Well, guess what? Bret still had plenty to give in his career. Yeah, he was 42. He started in the late 70s. He'd had injuries. He took time off after the Iron Man match at Mania 12. Because he had injuries and he worked so goddamn hard. The screw job happened. Which I side with Bret on. And then, he had a knee injury or leg injury of some variety that knocked him out of the thing after he had done that angle in Toronto with the metal plate with Goldberg. Which is sadly probably the most famous thing that Bret did other than get kicked in the head, which I'm going to get to in a minute. And then hit the death of his brother Owen. Vince McMahon will burn in hell for what he fucking did for that. And then Bret comes back September 99, late September, early October. And they have the match. They were tag team champions, or maybe they were tag team champions at the time. I forget the exact timeline because it got really messy. He says, Bill, don't hurt me. They do the figure four spot. Bill's supposed to catch his foot so his head doesn't hit the floor. Just soft, soft ease down. Goldberg's at the foot and then lets go of it. Boom, back of the head. Hits the mat and the concrete. Good job, Billy boy. You couldn't even do that right. Oh, and then Bret's all fuzzy. And then calls a sidekick. Goldberg had done the jumping sidekick before, or the jump, like what he did to Nash at Starrcade a year prior and stuff like that. Okay, you can find a way to do that. Nope, just sidekicks him. That and other stuff. Bret was destroyed. The convoluted finish was, by the way, fucking ridiculous. Starrcade was a mess. Fucking goddamn mess. Bret would only wrestle a handful more times, and then would be gone after his contract was renewed after October of 2000, after months of inactivity, because he had concussions and he couldn't wrestle anymore. Had those injuries not happened, I don't know if Bret would have re-signed with WCW, or maybe they had an option and would have given him another year, and then the company would have been out of business, and then Bret would have been paid for another year, and then maybe he could have gone back to WWE. Now, granted, by the end of, say, 2001, he would have been 44, but he still could have worked a little bit. Goldberg cost Bret a ton of money. He cost the company a ton of goddamn money because they could have made money with Bret since they were finally starting to fucking use him. But no, this bald Clydesdale-looking klutz, 2 left feet and no goddamn common sense, decides to just kick Bret in the head. And Goldberg blows it off. Do I think that Goldberg meant to hurt Bret? No, I don't. I don't believe he meant to hurt him. But I also don't believe for one goddamn second he feels bad. I don't think he does. And Goldberg made a ton of money in wrestling, and all that money, or at least half of it, should have gone to fucking Bret Hart. Bret Hart, who loved, who bled, who sweat, who broke his body for this business, who took care of numerous opponents, who made some opponents look better than they ever could. And yeah, I'm getting on the fucking soapbox of Bret Hart because I love Bret Hart, because Bret Hart kept me in wrestling. Yeah, Randy Savage did to an extent, but Randy Savage was winding down by 92, 93. He'd been in wrestling since like the early 70s. Bret kept me as far as my passion for wrestling. And a few others. Bret's stuff holds up. Goldberg's stuff is great in a vacuum. Take a look back at that time period. It was very much just mass hypnosis. Okay, yeah, Goldberg, you're squashing fools. What the fuck else you got? Oh, let's have him work a long match. Oh, he injured the best technical wrestler that had basically been around for a number of years, at least on a mainstream stage. Nope. Just fucking injures Bret and just blows it off. So yeah, Billy Boy, you fucking deserve what you goddamn got a little bit later. With the limo thing, they're going to gimmick a limo window, and he breaks that, and he breaks another one or whatever, and then he decides, oh, I'm going to break another one instead of using the bat that was dropped, because I'm a macho man. And he nearly severs the main artery in his arm, nearly loses his arm. Of course, it may have seemed like it really hurt the company. Nothing was going to save that company by late 99, but he did that. Had a rehab, that didn't work, the AOL Time Warner merger, all this bullshit and whatever, and then he sat out for a year because he had a guaranteed contract. I don't fault him, I don't fault anybody that did that. Earn your money. Actually, he sat out for 2 years, or almost 2 years. And actually, if I remember right, his last match was Sin in 2001 because he had surgery on his shoulder or something. Whatever. He had a lot of injuries, and also the fact that he was 30 when he got into wrestling. By the time he was done, by the time he got WWE, he was 36. Went to WWE. He didn't really care for it. The match with Rock exposed him. He had that match with Jericho. He was on limited number of matches. Of course, had he beaten everybody at SummerSlam 2003 in the Elimination Chamber, you might have been able to salvage, but they didn't. He had a world title run that didn't really do anything. He had that match with Brock in Madison Square Garden. Of course, Goldberg says, oh, how dare we go on with our lives and, leave the business. Okay, yeah, granted, sure. You don't want to be here, fucking go, but you got more money than a lot of people that bled and sweat just because you could do a spear and a jackhammer. And there are other people way more talented that got fucking screwed out of money. But then again, uncoachable intensity. I will say that about Goldberg. And everybody bet the farm he would never be back after Mania 20. And he probably shouldn't have fucking been. Heyman did, of course, mention that Brock wanted to go pursue other interests. Yeah, like not succeed in football just because he thought he was a big guy and he could hit hard. Now, I'm not going to say that Brock ain't a legit moose of an athlete, but that wasn't going to work. And then he butchered the IWGP heavyweight title scene. Fucking goddamn moron. And then there's UFC ventures. They don't touch on that. Maybe they'll do a Brock Lesnar documentary at some point. I don't know if they're doing one this season. They're doing one on the Bella Twins next week. Do I have to watch that? Do I really? Do I have to? Because I can't be objective during that. I don't. If you want me to watch it, let me know. And then talks about his outside ventures. And meeting his wife on Santa's sleigh. The set of Santa's sleigh. They have a kid. Gage gets to see him wrestle at Survivor Series 2016. 86 seconds because Goldberg destroyed his shoulder doing a clothesline on some security guards. And then he beats Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship at Fastlane just before WrestleMania, Hall of Fame induction, and they skip over, or they just, forget about the last few years of his career, law of diminishing returns and all that shit. Yeah, Goldberg is very much an enigma and very much somebody that will still be remembered as a big icon in short bursts. Ultimately, he's a guy that injured a lot of people, while I don't believe he meant to. He also was somebody who was great for a moment in time. He will be fondly remembered. The Goldberg chants will still ring out. Did he have the best career in wrestling? He made a lot of fucking money, despite not knowing what the fuck he was doing. But that's all I gotta say about that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.